Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to episode 108 of the Falcoholic Live. I am, of course, your host, Kevin Knight, joined by some illustrious co-hosts and guests this evening. You guys know Eric Robinson on Twitter at _Eric Robinson. Eric, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. It feels good to be back on talking football, man. I missed it.
Yes, there is, a tiny amount of news we could talk about. Not really relevant to the Falcons. I guess it is in some ways, but we'll talk about it. Also joining us tonight, Mr. Adnan Ikic on Twitter at Say Which Way. Adnan, how are you doing?
I'm doing well as well. It's always great to have a show. Always great to have something to talk about. And I mean, I was saying it before the show, we can have no news at all and we'll somehow stretch this out into like an hour of conversation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're masters at that. Speaking of, also joining us tonight, Evan Birchfield at Evan Birchfield on Twitter with impeccable timing as always. Evan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, guys. How y'all doing?
Good, just treading water in the lack of any sports or sports-related news period that we seem to be in right now. So,
yeah. Apparently there's a soccer game going on right now, but that's about it.
Yeah, oh yeah, there is soccer. That's true. I think there's that's been going on.
Even no football, no basketball, and no baseball still does not entice me enough to watch soccer. Like I'm still I'm not ready for it yet.
We'll get you into it eventually.
Yeah, soccer is really fun when someone scores, like because it's like rare in soccer, like.
But it takes an hour and a half for somebody to score.
Which is why you have to get like super hyped anytime anybody like that's why even, like it gets so hyped when anybody scores.
Even under these circumstances, I'm like no to soccer.
I'll make the pitch for it. There's no commercials at all. It's just an hour of just free flowing, just constant movement. And there's a lot of strategy that goes into it.
There is. I mean, I respect the sport. I used to play it as a kid, and that game, unlike both football and soccer are very athletically oriented. Football's more about like explosiveness and strength. Soccer is just about like raw cardio. Like you're literally sprinting around a field for like the entire time. There's no stopping. I know. See, maybe that's why. Yeah, maybe that's why.
I hate cardio. So yeah,
that's probably why. Yeah. But no, it's no disrespect to any sports here. We have room for all. But this is a football show, so we'll talk about American football on this pod for now. So yeah, guys, let's kick things off with the only football news of the I guess month. There's other stuff out there, but the big thing, obviously, Patrick Mahomes, mega deal, 10-year extension. Up to over $500 million, $500 million in total potential earnings. Obviously, not likely to actually play out all 10 years of the contract before something's renegotiated. But still, I mean, this is a historic deal for arguably, the NFL's best player at this stage. Kansas City, Mahomes had 2 years left on his rookie contract, so they're working to try to avoid, a situation like what we have with Dallas right now with Dak Prescott and what some other teams are probably dealing with here shortly. So I guess I just want to get your guys' reactions to this deal. So we'll kick things off with Eric. What are your thoughts on this record-setting contract for Mahomes?
I think it's well-deserved, man, to be honest. I know it's definitely set a precedence, of course. Just about every quarterback contract in the last, 4 or 5 years has done so. But, now we've finally seen a player get a contract worth $500 million. That's crazy. That is insane. But for Patrick Mahomes, I think he's worth it, to be quite honest with you. I called it, several months back, a long time ago, that I think he would have been the first quarterback to reach the 40 million per season plateau, and he exceeded that. And again, the guy's only 24, and he still had 2 years left on his deal. He wasn't even due for an extension. This is just like, okay, he's come in and he's exceeded expectations. Let's pay him now, lock him up, and get it out of the way. I have no problem against it. If I'm the Chiefs, now you got a guy that's going to be, your starting quarterback for the next 10 years at the very least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it is interesting in that it's like so long term too. There's a lot of aspects of the contract that are interesting, but just reactions at this point. Adnan, what are your thoughts on this crazy deal?
Oh, worth every single penny. every single one. You're talking about the face of the NFL right now at 24 years old. And if I told you, just blind player, just one player will get this kind of record-breaking deal, I'm sure it will be unanimous that the answer would be Patrick Mahomes. Every league has its own star, face of its league, and player who just moving forward is the most valuable player in that league. And in baseball, it's Mike Trout. In basketball, I guess because LeBron is getting up there in age, I guess you could say it's Giannis. I'm not too familiar with hockey. I guess Connor McDavid maybe in that one. But in football, it's unequivocally Patrick Mahomes. The Kansas City Chiefs, I'm sure, are just as thrilled as Patrick Mahomes is at this deal, because sure, they're shelling out $500 million, but the amount of money that he's going to bring back to them just in branding, in revenue, in jersey sales, in playoff game revenue. Patrick Mahomes, think about it this way. He's been a starter for 2 years in the NFL. In those 2 years, he's won an MVP, he's won the Super Bowl, he's won Super Bowl MVP, and he was one D Ford offside, lining up offside, away from, in my opinion, being a 2-time Super Bowl champion with probably 2 MVPs, because I think they would have beaten the Rams in that Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So Patrick Mahomes is doing stuff we've never seen from a player of his age at the quarterback position before. And at the end of this deal, he'll be due for one more huge contract as well.
Yeah.
So Patrick Mahomes is going to make a lot of money in his career.
And he was the first team All-Pro and Offensive Player of the Year his first year as a starter.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that every once in a while this sort of thing happens where you just a pick is such a home run that it's just franchise altering forever. And this is, one of those picks for the Chiefs. Kudos to them for I think, those of us that scouted Mahomes definitely could see the potential. It was a loaded class. I believe that was the year with Deshaun too, right?
It was Deshaun.
Yeah. So I had Deshaun 1, obviously. And Lamar was in that class too, right? Or was Lamar the next?
No, Lamar
was the next.
Lamar was
year
18.
Josh
But that
Allen.
was with Trubisky.
Josh
that's
Allen
right.
Mahomes was with Trubisky.
Yeah,
That's
Mahomes
right.
was with Trubisky.
Yeah. All these young quarterbacks were blending together, these draft classes. But
Shout out to the Bears, by the way.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that certainly. But it's crazy that obviously picking Deshaun having Deshaun number 1 is not like a hot take, and that you weren't necessarily wrong to have that opinion. But Mahomes has just he's reached his ceiling and blown past it, just like a rocket ship. Just there is no ceiling for him. His ceiling is space, outer space.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to me, but it's awesome. Evan, do you have any takes on this particular contract here?
Not much more to add, but I thought it's always funny that I think Sean Payton came out and said how they were eyeballing Patrick Mahomes, because I believe they were pick 11 and then Mahomes went at 10, which they obviously took Lattimore.
Oh, wow.
But it's what would have happened if who was it? I don't remember who the Chiefs traded with, but they moved up to 10 to get Mahomes. What if they did?
Did they trade with Houston?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but who knows what would have happened there?
Yeah, that would have been crazy. Thank God it didn't.
For one, Sean Payton could just be talking out of his ass, saying, "Oh yeah, I was definitely looking at Patrick Mahomes."
Right.
But if that is true, then yeah, imagine going from Drew Brees having to face Patrick Mahomes for the next decade plus.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny how he was eyeing Patrick Mahomes and Taysom Hill. Come on, man, those are 2 different quarterbacks. They don't even have any similarities whatsoever. So
I'm gonna take whatever Sean Payton says with a grain of salt. I'm not trusting anything that man says.
Right.
But
how would they make the GOAT Taysom Hill their franchise quarterback if they took Patrick Mahomes? It's not possible. So.
Oh, to answer to Evan, they traded with Buffalo.
That's right.
Okay.
Traded with Buffalo. But yeah, go ahead, Evan.
Thanks, Buffalo. Oh, that was all I wanted to add.
Okay.
Dunk on the Saints a little.
Yeah, that's smart.
If I can add, I'm very happy he's not in the NFC.
Yeah, that's good. So now the Falcons just have to make the Super Bowl.
One more thing. Down the road, it could end up looking like a steal, because how much is it supposed to be per season? 45 to 50 or something?
Yeah, I think it actually comes out.
Dak asking for.
Yeah, Dak is asking for I think 40, right, or something like that. And I think
Well, see, here's the interesting thing. I don't think anyone's even going to come close, because you know how when you have a quarterback that sets a benchmark every year as far as, okay, he's the highest paid quarterback in the league and is literally exceeded every year. Who honestly is going to exceed Mahomes over the next couple of years?
right.
I mean, Lamar is the only one I can even.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, Lamar is an injury risk with his style of play to the point where you're not going to commit to him for 10 years.
No.
He is, and Lamar, to me, and I love Lamar, and I think he's an NFL starting quarterback. But Lamar is going to have to win a Super Bowl, and probably a Super Bowl. Like, he's going to have to he's going to have to check off certain things in order for him to even have, a right contract negotiation. I can't see his agent going into a contract negotiation with the Ravens saying, "Hey, we want Mahomes money."
Right.
You haven't even come close to what Mahomes has done.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, Dak's agent is going in there saying, "Oh, well, Mahomes got this much,
Well,
so
that's
Dak
that's stupid. Now I'm looking at Jerry Jones like, who the hell would give Dak? You know what? If they give Dak $40 million, that's crazy.
I think he wanted 40 months ago, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he did.
That is stupid.
But the thing is, like, Dak has all the leverage. Like, the Cowboys can't just let him walk, So that's
why not?
Because what are they gonna do?
I'm not giving him
Andy Dalton.
Yes, Andy Dalton is the truth. Yeah.
What has he done to even sit down and have a conversation with me to say that he wants anything close to Patrick Mahomes' money?
I mean, I don't disagree with you. Like, I don't think he's worth $40 million, but teams are over a barrel with franchise quarterbacks. So, like,
well, he can walk.
Yeah,
they are, but I think I'm with Eric on this one. The only player I can think of that actually beat the franchise tag is Kirk Cousins, in regard to he was tagged twice, and then you can't tag him again, because I reapply and readjust this franchise tag article every single year that I wrote a few years ago, just talking about the specifics of the tag every offseason. And one of those is that if you get the tag, then you have to make 20% of what you made last year, and that keeps building. It keeps compounding up and up. And you can't really tag someone more than twice.
Yeah, it gets ridiculous.
It's fiscally impossible.
Yeah.
Yep.
So with Dallas, I think you can go about tagging Dak a couple of years, and then after that gives you some time to find your next quarterback. And in the meantime, you have Dak playing under the tag, which is risky for him because of injuries. So he may want to negotiate that as well, negotiate that down. But yeah, I'm definitely not in the boat of, let's give Dak Prescott $40 million a year just because he's a quarterback.
I mean, are we sure that someone like Dak wouldn't just sit out? I mean, players are getting bolder about that.
Well, let him sit out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, then what? They're gonna win 4 games with Andy Dalton.
Well, he's not going to get paid.
Right, but if the Cowboys aren't competing, then saving money on Dak Prescott doesn't really matter. Like, if they're not competitive.
Are we sure they're not competing at all without Dak Prescott? See, that's
that defense is trash. It's trash.
Oh, are you kidding? That team can still win 9 games, in my opinion, without Dak Prescott. I don't know why so much is being placed on him being on the field. This is still a good Cowboys team without Dak Prescott in the equation. This is not like if you take Mahomes off the field, the Chiefs are shelling themselves. It's not like that. When it comes to the Cowboys, if Dak sits out, I still think they're competitive. They're still a 9-win team.
I think Dalton's one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, I mean, he can still play.
We give him a lot of flack for never winning a playoff game. Andy Dalton's a solid quarterback. He's a very solid quarterback, and I think Dallas will be competitive in the NFC East with Andy Dalton. Obviously, they're not going to be as good as they are with Dak Prescott, but I don't think the difference between Dak and Dalton is, $40 million? How much is Dalton making? $5-6 million? I don't think the difference.
Probably 5, maybe something like.
I don't think the difference between them is $34 million set over a long term, period, year in and year out.
That's why I don't think Dak has the leverage. I think the Cowboys have the leverage at this point because you've already stretched out the negotiation talks Now you have Mahomes getting his money, and again, in Jerry Jones' back pocket is the fact that he has a pretty damn good team without Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm rooting for Dak to get paid. I'm here for the
do.
players.
Yeah.
I don't care about Jerry Jones's wallet. I'm here for Dallas becoming going into a disaster. With their starting quarterback in negotiations. Screw the Cowboys. I don't care for them at all. I'm just looking at it practically from if I was in a Cowboys management position, then I'm not just going to let Dak Prescott, is he a top 10 quarterback in the NFL? That's a conversation for another day. But I'm not going to let someone like him bend me over a barrel and just take all of my money. In that case, he's not at the level of Mahomes and Lamar Jackson where he gets to be making those demands. Just because the market dictates it for the quarterback, it has to stop at some point. We can't just have every single mediocre quarterback just breaking the record year in and year out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think he should get more than Patrick Mahomes, but what is he going to ask? I mean, I think he's going to ask for at least 35, right?
He's going to ask. He can ask all he wants. He can ask for $1 billion for all he wants. But if it's me and I'm Cowboys management, I'm calling this bluff. I'm kicking my feet up on the table and I said, look, this is the number we're going to give you. You don't like it? Fine. You want to sit out? Cool. We'll roll with Andy Dalton. We'll still win 9 or 10 games in the NFC East. And we'll probably still be competitive by the end of the year because we got a top 10 defense and I have an elite running game. And I also have Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. It's just, I'm not looking at Dak Prescott and saying, man, if he sits, the Cowboys are going to be awful. Let's also keep in mind, going back to the point that Adnan brought up, as far as franchise tagging him, it's a quarterback-rich class next year. So if Dak wants to play this, if he wants to play this game, that's fine. He can sit out. But there's a nice quarterback class coming in next year that Jerry Jones can get his next guy from.
Yeah, but personally, go get your money, Dak. I'm rooting for you to make $40 million or whatever.
Take him to the cleaners, buddy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If I was Dallas, I'd be terrified about that secondary. I mean, it is.
No.
It's
I'm
bad.
Not terrified.
It's bad. It's bad.
Not terrified.
You don't care about their second?
I have DeMarcus Lawrence. I just signed Alden Smith, who can definitely be a nice little puzzle piece if he keeps himself straight on the field. I got Leighton Vander Esch healthy. Jalen Smith is healthy. I got a nice little front seven up there on defense that can keep me in the games. They don't need much to win the NFC East. Let's keep this.
Well, it is the NFC least. You're right. So. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I just think if I was them, obviously the defensive line is really good, and the front seven is good too. They're going to be monstrous against the run, and they're going to rush the passer. But what has analytics told us that if your secondary sucks, it doesn't matter how good your pass rush is because the ball's going to be out in 2 seconds and they're going to be streaking down the field. But I don't disagree. The defense isn't going to be bottom 10 or anything, but that pass defense might be bottom 10. Just because, I mean, their cornerback group is embarrassing. Trayvon Diggs, I think, can be a good corner, but year one, I don't think it's wise to expect much out of him.
Woolsey is fine.
As the nickel guy?
Woolsey's no, as a starting boundary corner. Woolsey's fine.
Okay.
He's not elite.
Right.
He's fine. He's a
Who's their second guy? Oh man, CJ Goodwin's there. Yeah, they got him.
I mean, they're probably going to expect a lot from Diggs this year, but I mean, I think they'll be okay. It was a very good draft that they had this year as well, especially on defense. So again, the Cowboys, to me, they have all the leverage in this situation. And I think the longer this goes on, the worse it gets for Dak Prescott.
Right.
Especially
if
the season starts and he has a bad start to the season. Yeah, he's losing everything at that point, man.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to sign something now. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what they do because, if they do roll with Andy Dalton and they're competitive and they're picking in the 20s, they're not getting Dak's replacement in the draft next year. So
they're not.
They're gonna draft somebody in the 20s.
They're not.
Are they? Oh, so you're just saying they're not? Yeah.
This is Jerry Jones we're talking about. You don't think? I mean, you don't think that the possibility of him trading up to get a guy is not there?
I mean, it's certainly possible. I mean, we're everything's within the realm of possibility for Jerry Jones, but
Yeah, he wanted Manziel until his son took the card from his hand,
Right.
and put in the card for Zach Martin instead.
I mean, let's keep in mind that this team is relatively young. You're going into the 2021 draft. This team is relatively young. They can possibly gamble a little bit and trade up in the first round and get a quarterback that they want. Because I mean, they're pretty much in win now mode at this point.
Yeah, absolutely they are, and it's like, I guess to me, it depends. Like, if you're too good with Andy Dalton, then you're probably not getting your quarterback, at least not the one that you want. Like, if you want Trevor Lawrence or you want Justin Fields or you want Trey Lance, like, I don't think there's a lot of teams in the top 10 that are going to be passing on those players to get a pick in the 20s in a future first. Like, if they're mediocre with Dalton and they're picking like 16, then absolutely you can get into the top 10 without too much trouble. But I think it seems to me like a lot of teams have kind of pushed their chips into the we're getting a quarterback in 2021 table. Like the Panthers obviously have been like, okay, we just are going to punt on the 2020 season and try to get Lawrence or Fields, in 2021. The Patriots basically doing the same thing. I mean, it was smarter than to sign Cam, obviously, but I think that's a one-year stopgap, and they're hoping to get their quarterback of the future this year because no one's that enthused about Jarrett Stidham. That's a lot. But, I mean, there's a lot of teams that are kind of eyeing this quarterback class, and I think obviously everyone thinks the quarterback class is better the year before, right? But, or I guess maybe the better way to phrase it is next year's quarterback class is always going to be better than this year's class, according to the psyche. But I feel like with this group, it's kind of like a Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston class where the teams at the top are going to want those guys. They're not going to be having conversations about trading down.
There's no question that next year's class is better than this one.
Yeah.
It's not even. Yeah, we don't even need to have that conversation. It's
right.
There.
I mean, as good as Burrow and Tua were, like, are they going to be as coveted as? I mean, Burrow, I guess, probably is in that conversation, but like Lawrence and Fields, I think, are going to be like we said, Jameis Mariota type of.
Those are the darlings of the class. So I wanted to go back real quick on the Mahomes thing and the whole situation with the Chiefs. I think right now this puts in place, because in order for this to truly play out the way they want to, they're really going to have to put an onus on keeping that offensive line above average for the next 10 years. So, even any type of mismanagement when it comes to, not getting, above average players in the draft or not spending money in free agency on the offensive line, anything like that can have this deal not necessarily go by the wayside, but it can kind of ruin things a little bit because you're paying him $500 million. You got to keep him clean.
Yeah.
You got to keep him upright. And it's going to be impossible. Of course, he's going to get sacked. He's going to take his hits, but you got to do whatever you can at this point to keep him. I mean, he's your dollar. He's your money. So you got to keep him clean. You got to keep him upright. So that means maybe using 2 or 3 first-round picks in a row on the offensive line, then probably so be it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think KC will ever field an elite defense over this next decade, unless they just go insane and just pick out stars in the 7th round and the late rounds year after year, which just doesn't really happen unless they pull some Seattle thing out of their hat,
right,
when they got the Legion of Boom that one year. But they don't need to.
Right.
They just go out there and they completely outscore everyone, and nobody can keep up with Mahomes. No one can keep up with that amazing offense. Tyreek Hill is signed in long term. Travis Kelce is signed in. They just got Edwards-Helaire, who's going to be a great weapon for them.
Yeah.
God, being a Chiefs fan must be so fun right now.
They're not going to care. I think they're going to have the same approach as the Rams, the early 2000 Rams did, where they just put all their resources and everything on the offense, and they basically just built their team on that. We're going to outscore you.
And it's an identity, and all the great teams have an identity, and this Chiefs team, it's like watching the 2016 Falcons, but every single year, and you don't choke in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's I don't understand why more teams don't try to go all in for a trump card, like the Chiefs do with their offense. Trying to split resources between the offense and defense to have two like pretty good units. Like it's not the worst plan in the world, but like if you're not the best at something, you're not going to win a Super Bowl. Like you need to be the best at something to win a Super Bowl. It doesn't, sometimes, in the olden days it used to be running. Like if you could just dominate the other team with your run game, you'd win. In past years it's been we have the best defense. Like lately it's been we just have the most explosive passing offense. We can put up 40 points on any team, and it doesn't matter if you score 35, we're going to score 40. So
I think that's a difference in brain trust. I think the front office thinks long term. The front office thinks, okay, let's build this team in certain positions for the next 5 or 10 years. The coaches are like, I need to win now, and I need to win quickly because my job security is not as extensive as 5, 8, or 10 years.
Yeah.
So that may be a difference right there. That may be where things are divided.
Yeah, and it's like this is why I think part of the reason we see kind of this rich get richer thing in the NFL with like Belichick, the Patriots always have been so good, and the Chiefs, are looking like, and it's because those coaches have unlimited security, like
right, and
they can take risks.
Front office guys too.
Yeah, they have so much goodwill built up and so much security, they can take more risks. They can go all in for certain strategies.
Yeah, I mean, we're heading there right now with the Falcons, given the fact that another 7-9 season maintains Dan Quinn's job security.
Yeah, I mean, at that point they should feel safe to do whatever they want because it doesn't matter. But it is interesting, and like I think what we've seen from the Chiefs, they've demonstrated this, is that you just need to be good enough on defense to not be like an embarrassment. Like no one watched the Chiefs defense last year and said, oh, that's a good defense, but they were good enough. And it was kind of honestly like the Falcons defense in 2016. Like for the vast majority of the season, they were good enough. Like statistically, that defense wasn't spectacular, but it was good enough. And that's all you really need is good enough.
We were still kind of sighing a little bit when the defense took the field late this season.
Yes.
It took a little while for us to say, okay, we might be able to get by here a little bit.
Yeah, and the thing is, the defense in 2016 completely caught its stride at the end of the season. That late game win streak and the playoffs, the defense gave up an average of 18.2 points per game, something ridiculously low like that, until the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, of course.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the defense also the Chiefs' defense isn't under pressure to go out there and be world beaters. They know we have Patrick Mahomes, we have Tyreek Hill. Our offense can go out there and just blitz the opposing defense for 30 points before you even blink, to the point where you only need a stop or two. You force a fumble, you get a pick here or there, and your job is pretty much done. Yeah. I know these NFL players are competitive. Of course, no defender wants to give up points, give up yards, but you're not under that huge earth-shattering pressure on your shoulders to just go out there and dominate every single game. You can play a little bit more loose, and that's what happened in 2016. The Falcons defense in 2016, they played very loose at the end of that season because with Kyle Shanahan's unit, the offense is going to put up 30 points no matter what.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that when Andy Reid took over in Kansas City, that this was more of a defensive team.
Yeah, I remember that team.
You go back to that 2016 season. That was a team that had a fresh and healthy Eric Berry.
Yeah, Justin
Houston was coming to his own. So it wasn't that long ago that this Chiefs was actually built on the other side of the ball. And yes, they were winning games, but they were barely getting over the hump in the playoffs. And
they had Alex Smith out there as the quarterback.
Alex Smith, right. And then I think Jamal Charles still kind of chugging along
he
a
was
little
still
bit?
there.
Yeah, he was.
2016, I think.
But now Andy Reid comes in and he's like, okay, forget that defensive stuff. We're focusing here on the offense. Because if you actually think about it, Andy Reid did the opposite approach in Philly. A lot of the resources was built in Philly on the defensive side of the ball, and on offense, all he really had was McNabb and Todd Pinkston and Freddie Mitchell. They didn't really put any funds, any resources on offense, and that's why they couldn't get over that hump.
Yeah.
But it also shows how the NFL is evolving to the point where now it's this passing league where, with the new rules in place, it completely benefits the offense, and that's been a cash cow for the NFL because it's a lot more exciting. People want to go out there. The casual fan wants to see a 38 35 game. Like,
Yeah.
I know we go out there and when the Falcons give up 35, we're like, what the hell? But it's a good product that the NFL is putting out there, and these teams are adapting to that new branding by the NFL, so to speak, where if you put in the resources on the offense, it's not like back in the 80s and the 90s where you have a good offense, but then you'll end up being screwed when you run into this fortress of a defense. We don't really have much of that in the NFL anymore.
Yeah, you're right. And it's like, and honestly, even historically, like, offensive head coaches have tended to have far more success overall than defensive head coaches. I mean, there's a few notable exceptions, like, Bill Belichick being one, but recent history has borne that out, and that, I think that's part of the reason why the Falcons have had so much trouble, despite having what you could call like a very, very good core of offensive players. Like, they have their franchise quarterback in Matt Ryan, they have the NFL's best wide receiver in Julio Jones, but they're continuously getting stuck with these defensive head coaches that want this team to win, to have a strong defense, and just kind of like, what's the plan on offense? Like, at least when, like, Dan Quinn honestly came in with a great idea, right? He was like, I know defense. I want to get the best offensive mind I can to run my offense. And he got Kyle Shanahan, and Kyle Shanahan knocked it out of the park. I mean, he killed it, except for, a couple things we won't talk about. But, like, that was smart. But then after Shanahan left, it was like Quinn had no clue like what to do with the offense. Like,
but basically what you're saying is the Falcons should have fired Quinn this offseason and hired Lincoln Riley.
Well, I mean, I would have been fine with like Bieniemy too. Like if they were looking for like an NFL, somebody with NFL experience. But I mean,
I when it comes to that argument, we've had that argument plenty of times during the season, especially when the coaching rumors were floating around the Falcons. I'm not quite sure I'm really sold on that. That if you look at how the offense is, or if you look at how the NFL is now, you're more liable to have long-term success with offensive coaches. I'm not quite sure that really. I'm not leaning. I don't know if that really sticks to me. I don't really. I think it's really depending on just overall coaching philosophy. I don't think we should really place that much of a precedence. We got to get an offensive-minded head coach in because this is an offensive league now. I mean, again, it goes back to philosophy. You keep looking at Bill Belichick, and you know Bill Belichick's background, and he's had 20 years worth of success in New England.
Yeah,
maybe it's not necessary.
No, like you can obviously have success with a defensive head coach. It seems like it's more often the offensive guys, but like it's not exclusively one or the other. But I guess to me, it's like you have Matt Ryan, you have Julio Jones. Like, it should be easy to decide what the focus of your team should be. But it seems like they've been fighting it. Like, the entire time we've had Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, it's like they've been fighting their identity. Like, Mike Smith was the exact opposite of the coach they should have had for this team. Like, no offense to Mike Smith. Like, he did probably as bad a good of a job as he possibly could have with this team.
I still don't know what they saw in Mike Smith.
But it's like,
let's not disrespect Mike Smith.
What?
He
Like,
did a great job in 08 through 2012.
He did okay. Okay.
But he was what they needed to get out of that terrible rut too. Like, fundamentals.
He wasn't going to get you over the hump, but he was going to get you to the hump.
Yeah. But no slander to Mike Smith here. This is not about him. We're slandering Dan Quinn and Dirk Cutter right now. But it's like, I guess that's just how I, and I don't know how we get into complaining about the coaching staff. This is like every week thing now. But
I think I agree with Kevin in this sense that you don't need an offensive-minded head coach, but if you have a defensive-minded head coach, you need a great offensive coordinator to take over that offense in today's NFL. And we are over here. We went from Dan Quinn, we went from Kyle Shanahan to now Dirk Cutter. And we don't have that creative mind that's just like has the circuits going on in his head. And I mean, you watch the San Francisco 49ers last year and Kyle Shanahan, and they are doing some of this beautiful stuff on offense with the zone blocking scheme. I mean, I remember they had those plays where they give it to Juszczyk, the fullback, and he pitches it out to Mostert or Tevin Coleman, and the defense is just completely perplexed. Meanwhile, we're over here, we have Dirk Cutter trying to establish the run on every single first down, just playing as if the game has passed him right by. And I mean, that's what's really worrying me about the Falcons moving forward, because had you made that change and brought in that fresh young offensive mind, then I feel a lot better right now about where the team is as opposed to Dirk Cutter, where I'm not really sold. He was a great OC in 2012, but the league isn't in 2012 anymore.
I don't even. I'm being honest. I'm not even sure he was that great of an OC then.
Well, yeah, he had Julio, Prime Ryan, like Tony Gonzalez still playing great, Roddy White. Like that was some of the best weapons ever on a team together.
But he bubble screened us to death instead of getting that ball down the field. I don't even think he was that great of a coordinator then. I think they just had the right combination of talent. They put up some numbers. They could have put up even more. I think they left a lot on the field in those seasons because of Dirk Cutter and his philosophy. Yeah. I do agree with Adnan. If you have a defensive-minded head coach, you need to have an offensive coordinator that's damn near close to being the head coach himself. Say what you want about Shanahan, that guy knows his stuff, okay? That guy can coach an offense up and down the field. He can put up points. He can put up yards. Yeah. I don't know what they see in Dirk Cutter. I never was with the hire from day one. I was never with the rumors. Even during his success during the season, I was always like, okay, you guys get happy. He's gonna break our heart soon enough. And damn, he did. He's Dirk Cutter. He finds a way.
Hey, if hindsight is being 2020, we should have just fired Dan Quinn and given Kyle Shanahan that head coaching job a couple years ago. Hey, if we're talking about full hindsight right now,
we should fire Steve Sarkisian.
Well, it's like. No, but you're absolutely right. Like, with hindsight, yes, but this is the ultimate crux of the problem with having defensive-minded head coaches, right? Like, say you get extreme, like Dan Quinn makes a great decision, hires Kyle Shanahan, who's like an out-of-this-world success, and he leaves. And this is exactly what's been happening to the Falcons, like, throughout their entire tenure. Like, Matt Ryan's had so many different offenses. Like, he was like a quarterback of a run-heavy offense first. Then Cutter came in to do his Fort stuff. Then Shanahan with his West Coast stuff. Now back to, Fort stuff. Like, he said no consistency. Like, imagine if Matt Ryan was with Andy Reid. Like, say Andy Reid was Atlanta's head coach since 2008. Like, this offense would be on like another planet. Like,
so you're saying that they should have had an offensive guy in place that, has no. He doesn't instill any worry whatsoever as far as him being the head coach over the next couple of years. If that's the case, then yeah, they got Dirk Cutter. They got the right guy. There's no way in hell.
That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying they should have, like, I guess the ultimate crux of my argument is, like, I guess in 2008 it makes sense that they didn't go all in for like an offensive guy because the identity of the team, they had lost Mike Vick. They didn't know how good Matt Ryan was going to be. Obviously, they hoped that he would be good, but the identity of that team in 2008 was defense and running. Like, that was clearly the mentality of that team, for better or worse, and like it worked for them. Like, I mean, they were a good team winning that way. But as soon as we realized Matt Ryan was a great quarterback, like, it was time to kind of make a change then. And like, they did, I guess, attempt to do that with the Dirk Cutter hire, but even that, wasn't great. But like, they had a chance, I guess, after Mike Smith left to fix things, to correct what was wrong, which was this team is no longer a defensive team. This is a team that has Matt Ryan and Julio Jones that's going to win with offense. Why don't we like actually commit to that? But no, instead it was, what the problem with this team was the defense. And like, I guess you're right. Like, the defense was god awful in 2013 and 2014. So yes, the defense was the problem. But the problem, the real true problem, is that you don't have to hire a defensive head coach to fix your defense. You just have to draft well and get a good coordinator. You don't need a defensive head coach. So like,
yeah, I still don't know how Thomas Dimitroff survived that Mike Smith firing, because the talent on that team in 2014, especially on defense, was just absolutely terrible. Like, I remember watching that Carolina Panthers game in Week 17 where they just destroyed us 35-3, and the only thing I could think of is how just they're running us off the field right now, and nobody on that defense had any real talent. Yep. I mean, Desmond Trufant, like, sure, he was a young player, Robert Alford, but I mean, I still don't know how Thomas Dimitroff survived up until this point.
I get what they were trying to do with the hire to Mike Smith. You did make a point, Kevin. At that point in time of the Falcons franchise, their identity was defense and run game. But I think being the circumstance that they had coming off from the whole Mike Vick situation, along with Petrino just walking out on the team, I felt more comfortable with getting more of a veteran defensive head coach instead of a first-time a first-time head coach that was a former defensive coordinator, because the problem that they ran into was they got a guy in Mike Smith. He got him off the ground when it comes to success, but he didn't help sustain that success because he was kind of sort of lost. I mean, he didn't know how to take a team that went 13-3 and say, okay, we're good. Let's be really good. He didn't know how to do that. And I think that that veteran defensive-minded head coach would have probably been a difference in that situation.
Yeah.
And you go back to the hiring of Dan Quinn. You guys recall who were the top two offensive-minded guys that they were interested in? Adam Gase and Josh McDaniels. And both of those guys were coming off hell of a seasons. I mean, everybody around the league.
Everybody was into Gase. I remember that. God, what a disaster that was.
Yeah, he was with that Broncos team, but that's also fool's gold because when you're the OC to Peyton Manning,
right,
he's pretty much his own OC.
Right, it was. And I will admit, going back to that time, I was all in on McDaniels because I felt like he learned his lesson from Denver. He went back to New England, got himself some more offensive success in New England. I think he learned his lesson. But, they ended up flirting with Rex Ryan. Thank God they didn't make that.
It was Todd Bowles, Rex Ryan, and Dan Quinn really were the finalists.
Admittedly, I wanted Rex Ryan.
Oh, God.
I wanted Rex Ryan because I saw what he did with the Jets. I thought I was really high on Desmond Trufant at the time, and I was like, all right, he can maybe mold, not into Darrelle Revis because nobody's prime Darrelle Revis, but something resembling that. And I mean, I liked Rex Ryan. I was completely wrong, hindsight being 2020. But man, I mean, you talk about someone who went in there and won the press conference in Buffalo and then didn't do much winning after that.
Right, yeah. I was team Todd Bowles. Yes, we were all kind of on different sides here. I mean, we were all wrong, with our decisions. So that's fair. We were all wrong. It won't be the last time, I'm sure. Yeah.
I don't think any of those 5 hires would have been like, okay, yeah, we won that conversation.
Right.
All of them would have been met with.
I mean, maybe Bowles could have been better here than he was with the Jets because the Jets were kind of a dumpster fire. But he's clearly a good defensive coordinator. Can he be a head coach? I don't know. But
I think with Bowles' issue, I think Bowles was in the wrong market. He's a quiet head coach who doesn't really like the limelight, and he's in New York.
Yeah. He went to the worst place for that.
Yeah.
Worst place for that. I think he was just in a terrible market.
Yeah.
And it helped ruin his career as far as a head coach.
Yeah, that's true. But
I mean, I think he'll get another chance for sure eventually.
I think he will too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, I guess to me, it's just I don't know, with this conversation, with what we've brought up, I do sort of wonder if Petrino abandoning the team kind of soured Dimitroff and blank on offensive coaches. They were okay, he burned us, let's just completely young up and coming offensive minds, and they were oh well, he burned us, so we're out.
I think it soured them on college.
Yeah, college coaches. Yeah,
I think it soured them on that, and I still to this day think that any fan that's holding that mentality over whoever they interview, I think that's wrong. You can't, just because Petrino burned the team doesn't mean every college head coach from here on out is worthy of at least an interview.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think they should just get the hell over it at this point.
Oh,
it happened in 2007. You can't just continue to blame Bobby Petrino for all of this stuff moving forward. It's like just being caught up on an ex-girlfriend just for so long. Just let it go, get over it, and just admit you made the mistake. Not everyone's Bobby Petrino. Most people aren't Bobby Petrino.
That was such a weird thing. That's the other thing people need to understand is getting an opportunity to coach in the NFL and abandoning it halfway through the season and just fleeing back to college for the rest of your career. That is something that has that ever happened again since then? Like
No.
I can't recall any time that's
No,
happened.
I mean, I've never heard anything like that before.
And it's
But,
not
I mean,
like Petrino didn't have a history of that. He did
Yeah.
the exact same
Did.
thing earlier on.
he did. And he did it to Louisville again.
Yeah.
He,
So
he,
yeah, I mean you're right. Like it's just like just because Petrino's a piece of shit doesn't mean like college coaches are bad. Like
Petrino burned Louisville twice, and he got fired from Arkansas because he was flirting with some intern. Like this guy just let's just face it, this guy is just a piece of shit.
he's just a
Like,
creep. Yeah, I mean
that's
Yeah.
all it is. It has nothing to do with him being a college head coach.
No.
Yeah, we should get over it. Like Adnan said, that was so long ago. That's like 4 or 5 relationships ago.
Yeah.
Let it go, man. Like, I mean, to me, I thought a guy like Lincoln Riley was worthy enough of at least an interview.
absolutely.
Maybe not being hired, but at least talk to him, see what his mind is. But no, fans were like, "Oh, last time we got a college head coach."
Yeah, I mean that's not really fair. Like don't compare anyone. I guess the moral of this segment here is that like we need to get over Bobby Petrino because he's not relevant. Like some college coach that does something that really hasn't been replicated in like over 10 years. Like that's not a data point that's meaningful. That's just Bobby Petrino being a piece of shit. So like we can move on from that. That's not relevant to any current discussion unless you're thinking of hiring Bobby Petrino again, which like burn it all down. Burn it all down if we're having that conversation. Yeah.
At that point, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, no,
No,
burn it all
I
down.
I can't do it anymore if you
I'm
bring
outta
back
here.
Bobby.
Trade Matt Ryan at that point, please. So, yeah.
Sell the team at that point. Just
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Exactly, but and I think maybe we're all in agreement here that like to me, I guess like it reminds me, of just like stop trying to make the defense a thing. Like, yes, you should have a good enough defense. That's what we covered earlier in the show. But like, you have Matt Ryan, you have Julio Jones. What? Like that's your team. Like that. Like it's so obvious to me. Like that's your team. Like that's the engine of your team. Those two guys. Like.
Well, you know what's a bugaboo with that, Kevin? The fact that you hired a defensive coordinator, you hired a guy that was a former defensive coordinator of one of the greatest defenses of the past 20, 25 years. So that's what happens when you bring someone like that in now, because of course, when he was hired, the expectations were what? He's going to turn his team into the Seahawks defense. Mm-hmm. That's what happens when you bring aboard a guy like that.
Yeah.
And I get your point. Their true identity, and it's been that way since 2008, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Their true identity has really been on offense. But on the last 4 or 5 years, we tried so hard to make this a defensive team.
Yeah.
But I will say this. While I do agree with you that, this is the offense is their identity. They need to stick to their bread and butter. I still want to see something from this damn defense. And
right.
and I love Dan Quinn. I love his philosophy. He's one of the he's easy to talk to. He's a very comfortable head coach. I give him that. But Jesus Christ, can we at least get I don't know if we need a consistent pass rush or let's just have a defense that's just opportunistic, but can we just get at least 2 or 3 seasons in a row where we know, okay, this is what this defense is. We approach every season as if saying, man, what is this defense going to be like this year?
I mean,
it's
total wild card, right? Like 2017, pretty solid, good defense. Like 2018,
top 10 defense in 2017. It was better than solid.
Yeah, and then like 2018, like maybe could have also been good, but injuries. Historically injured, Like I think what was it? They lost 6 starters in the first 6 weeks, or something like something crazy like that. Yeah, and then 2019 it was a dumpster fire when Quinn took over. So it's like, it's bizarre to me. But I guess, I mean, it comes back to the crux of it. It's that I think we're all kind of feeling the same way, which is that the direction of the team isn't really where it needs to be. Like I think like we all respect Dan Quinn as a person, and like. Maybe as a head coach, he can be okay. Like, if he's got the perfect people around him. But I guess to me, it's like the ship of like let's fix the defense and make that a thing. I guess has sailed in my opinion. Like I think to me, it's like we just need to maximize Matt Ryan and Julio for the last few years we have them and move on.
Fixing the defense is easier said than done. And at this point, with what you have on offense, if you just give this team a consistent pass rush, they'll win games. Okay. They'll win games and they'll probably get a ring or two. Like the Falcons don't need the 85 Bears to win the Super Bowl. They just need a damn defense that can get to the quarterback. Everything else will fall in place.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, like, if we replaced, like, Vic Beasley and Takk McKinley with 2 offensive line picks, this team would probably be better off, right?
Really?
I mean, let's say, like, let's assume...
No.
Like, let's assume, so then going into 2019, you have Lindstrom, you have, like, a first-round left guard instead of Jamon Brown and so, and then you have a first-round right tackle that's better than Caleb McGarry. Say, like, Jawan Taylor or whatever, or somebody from a previous year that was good. I don't know. Like, I feel like if we'd fixed the offensive line instead of trying to fix the pass rush, because the pass rush was awful. It's been awful outside of Grady Jarrett, who, like, God bless him, he's like the man. But, like, I think, and obviously 2016, we could throw that out because the offensive line was good in 2016. I guess maybe forget the Vic Beasley one and just going forward from that, because the offensive line was fine in 2016. But, like, I feel like the big problem with the offense in recent years has been the offensive line, right? Like, it's not been skill positions. It's not been Matt Ryan.
No. In my opinion, no.
Yeah.
It to me, the biggest issue has been inconsistency in play calling.
Well, yeah.
That's been the biggest issue for this offense. I mean, the offensive line has had its downfalls, but, the last year with Dirk, how many times are we yelling at the TV like, okay, they can't run the ball, so stop running the damn ball. Stop trying to run the ball. Like, they can't hold blocks for long, so let's stop trying to have these 4 verts or these prolonged routes. And that's the issue we ran into. We ran into that a little bit with Sarkisian, where Sarkisian was able to get the team up and down the field, but once he got in the damn red zone, it was like, okay, what do I do here? Like, to me, that's been their biggest issue.
Yeah, he didn't know how to call a slant to Julio in the red zone. Like,
he didn't. No.
It's like the easiest play in the book,
Yeah.
Like,
did everything
who's stopping Julio on a slant,
in the end zone? He got him those 6 plays, 80 yards. He got him there, but when they got in the red zone, he was like, okay, I'm lost here, guys.
Yeah. The thing is, though, you can't draft an offensive coordinator, so. That's the big problem.
Can we trade picks for Kyle Shanahan?
Right, yeah. How about a whole draft class? Yeah.
But yeah, the microcosm of that is that Eagles game from 2017, where he called the plays. We get down to the 2-yard line, we have it right there, and then what are the play calls? It's a shovel pass to Teron Ward, and then it's that sprint rollout right to Julio Jones, where you just like force the ball to Julio Jones, and you have Derek Coleman as the only player on the left side of the field, and the Philadelphia Eagles, no, you're not throwing it to Derek Coleman.
I really do like Sarkisian, but what the hell were you doing there, man?
I think he just got deer in the headlights on that drive, man. Like, it was just too big for him.
What?
Yeah. Like, how do you explain that series of plays? Like, that was the word. Like,
they got down to the 2 so easily. Like, oh my God, it was
crazy, right?
Yeah. They got down there and they got to the 2-yard line and they were like, okay, how do we punch it in from here? Are you kidding me? Like, what are we doing?
Bro, I was so excited on that drive. I was at Hooters watching that game. Everyone was so hyped. We were just like going down the field. It was like
the 2.
Bro, I was holding some random stranger. Just like we were both nervous as shit on those third downs.
We're about to score. Oh, okay, 1st and goal. They didn't get it. All right, cool. We're about to score here. Like, we're at the 2.
Yeah, and that I think is to be like. That, like, you need to be, and that's part of the problem too, is that, like, this team has been so focused on passing too. It's like you need to be able to also, like, you need to have some threat of a running game, so they can't just key on Julio Jones every freaking play. Like, when you're at the 2-yard line, you should threaten the run at least a little bit.
They ran 4 wides at the 2. What?
See, that's when you should run the ball, right? You should have 5 wide and then hand it to Freeman and let him try to beat someone to the edge,
hand it to
right?
Coleman that game. Yeah, Freeman was doing nothing that game. I remember Tevin Coleman was effective.
Yeah.
Devontae Freeman did nothing that game.
As a matter of fact, Tevin Coleman was open on that 4th and goal play. If you want to go back to it, he was wide open.
Well, are we talking about the divisional round game, or are we talking about week 1 the next year?
That was
because
the week 1 game, wasn't it?
It was week 1.
Yeah, he was wide
because it was the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like it was the exact same scenario in both games. Whatever I'm saying right now about that game against the Eagles in the divisional round, you can just apply that. You can copy and paste that to week 1 because it was the exact same thing. Again, because on that 1st and goal, you had 3 shots, I remember, because one of them was a holding penalty, which put some time back on the clock. On all 3 or 4 of those plays, they went 4 verts. Like I wrote an article about this. They went 4 verts on every single one of those plays. There was no attempted creativity. And yes, Tevin Coleman was wide open. It was a little slant. But Matt Ryan wasn't reading that one. He wasn't checking that one down.
He was honed in on Julio.
Yeah.
Who was double covered.
That's what happened on week 1 that Adnan mentioned. It was I think it was 1st and goal, and there was almost no time left. And then it actually happened on the left side of the end zone. He threw a jump ball to Julio. And
Julio caught it out of bounds. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I get it. And in both of those games, they couldn't muster any type of running game up to that point. But again, you're at the 2.
Right. Like, if you can't threaten the run at all from the 2, you need to reevaluate your offense. You don't even have to get a push. You just have to fall forward and you get into the end zone.
Hell, if any, just call a damn quarterback sneak.
Right.
Yeah. And if we're going back earlier that game, on the very first drive, you got stopped on 4th and goal from the 1, from inside the 1. You couldn't convert on that one.
Yes, they did.
That's right. Yeah. So I guess the moral of the story is we need an offensive head coach, and we need to be able to this is not a run first team, and it shouldn't be. But you need to be able to threaten the run. That's the whole thing that analytics is trying to tell you. It doesn't matter how many times you run the ball a game. All that matters is that you're threatening enough with the run to make the other team respect it. And all that means is that you're just not a total idiot with your run calls. Because if you're just calling a run every first down, then it's not very threatening, is it? Because everyone knows you're just going to run the ball on first down.
Well, hopefully we get a season this year, because this is really going to show all of us how valuable of a play caller Dirk Cutter really is. Because while I don't feel
what you wish for.
While I don't feel that Todd Gurley is going to give us 2018 Todd Gurley, if you go back to last year, you gotta tip the cap a little bit to the Rams, because the Rams knew how valuable Gurley was in the red zone.
He's good.
I think he had what?
I think he had 10 touchdowns, 10 or 12 touchdowns.
10 rushing touchdowns, and I think 9 of them came inside the 20. Yeah. So they knew he couldn't break long runs, but inside the 20, he was money. So we're going to see how valuable Cutter is, because, like I said, I don't think we're going to get Offensive Player of the Year Todd Gurley.
No.
But if he's smart, Todd Gurley is going to be the bell cow in the red zone, or at least inside the 10, because we've seen it. The guy can still score.
Oh, yeah. He's great at reading, in those situations. He's just really good at just finding the end zone.
So I wrote this in my article right after we signed Todd Gurley, and I mentioned this on the show and on the podcast before, and I'm going to keep mentioning it just because this stat is so encouraging, because Todd Gurley was an absolute monster when it came to those little money conversions, when it came to those instinct plays for a running back to fall forward to get those yards. Because my favorite stat is on 3rd down and short runs, so that means 3rd down and 3 yards or less. He was 4th in the NFL on efficiency on those 3rd and short conversions. Only Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, and Lamar Jackson had a higher percentage of 3rd and short runs result in first downs than Todd Gurley. And Todd Gurley, I think, was 2nd in the NFL in rushing touchdowns from inside the 10, behind only Zeke Elliott last year.
Yeah. I mean, he was still good last year. People think, they're like, oh, he wasn't 2018 Todd Gurley, he wasn't good. No, he was still good, and he is still good. He's just not, he can't take 25 carries a game anymore. That's just not his. But the Falcons honestly shouldn't be giving any running back 25 carries.
He got vultured a lot too. Malcolm Brown, and I tweeted this out in early June, but I looked at what Malcolm Brown's carries were, because if you look at how that worked, Gurley would basically get him close to scoring, and then they'd pull him for Malcolm Brown. And all his touchdowns, he had 5. They came within, let's see, there's 5 yard, 1 yard, 5 yard, 1 yard, 3 yard. So Gurley could have actually had a lot more rushing touchdowns. I think he finished with 12 total. So hopefully, that could be Allison though in Atlanta. Who knows?
Yep.
Could be.
Tied for third in the NFL last year in red zone rushing touchdowns with 12.
Yeah. I mean, so I think that aspect of it is going to be helpful, and obviously, I think if Chris Lindstrom's like healthy and plays all year, that's a big thing too, to have that, better presence at right guard. If Caleb McGarry can be, good, that would be nice. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, this is a Falcons team that's taking an enormous amount of risks going into 2020. Like, they're basically gambling completely on the secondary. Like, other than safety is pretty good, but like corner, it's like, okay, Isaiah Oliver, be better. Okay, Kendall Sheffield, be better. Okay, AJ Terrell, be like a quarterback 1 in your first season as an NFL player. And if you don't, this defense is going to suck. So that's basically where we are heading into 2020.
Yeah.
So
but that's what we wanted, right? That's what we want, because I damn sure didn't want a running back season.
Oh yeah.
I would have banged my head against the wall if they did nothing this offseason. I at least, at the very least, I admired their approach this offseason. They were aggressive. Though there were a couple moves here and there you probably would have wanted them to make that they didn't. But again, they looked at last year and they said, hey, we can't run the football and we can't get after the quarterback. We don't really have much athleticism in the second level of the defense. Let's improve in those spots. And that's what they did. They brought in Gurley. They brought in a guy like Deion Buchanan, who I think is going to be a better pickup than we actually believe once he gets some time under his belt as far as getting acclimated into the defense. We'll see. But I love the approach this offseason, and they're going all in, and I'm with it.
Yeah, it's bold. I mean, it's not last year, which was run it back for the second time in a row. Yeah.
Lazy. I hate that. I hate that approach.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, I guess we should probably answer the question of the pot, which is, do we think training camp will happen, before we get out of here? So, Evan, I'll go to you first on this one. Do you think that the training camp is actually going to happen on time or at all at this point?
To be honest, I have no idea. It just seems like everything's completely up in the air and kind of, I don't know. Georgia, is that pretty much a hot spot?
Oh, yeah.
Is the NFL going to pretty much... I mean, you're not going to let some teams who are in a better situation, do training camp, because it's just an unfair advantage. Honestly, I have no idea. I hope so, because it's starting to feel like forever ago since there was football, and I can't imagine going through the fall with no football whatsoever. So
yeah,
hopefully
that would suck. That would totally
suck.
But
I think it really sucks for the even the rookies who were drafted, like Terrell and stuff, and the undrafted rookies. It's like they're going to have little to no experience going in, because 2 games already removed from preseason. Ooh. There could be 2 more. Apparently they're still discussing, but it could be no preseason games at all. So for those guys, it's going to suck, but
yeah.
At least there'll be no injuries due to preseason games or anything.
Right.
AJ Terrell's going to have no game action, and then he sees DK Metcalf the first week of the season.
Well,
one way to grow up.
Yeah, you grow up real quick. Yeah.
Oof.
Nah, they're gonna put Isaiah Oliver on DK.
Who's week 2?
Dallas.
Does anybody know week 2?
Dallas, right?
Yeah, it's Dallas. Yeah.
So,
Amari Cooper.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be trial by fire for AJ Terrell, but we knew that. So he knows that, and honestly, AJ Terrell is a good prospect. I think ultimately he's probably gonna be fine. It might be really. Shut up, Eric. Don't slander my man.
Played 1 game in his collegiate career, and it was the worst game.
Yes, exactly. He lost to the greatest college offense of all time, despite playing really well in the first half. So that second half is the only tape that I watched, and therefore AJ Terrell's awful.
2 plays. That's all I need to see. That sucks.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I mean,
now you're sounding like the average fan.
Yes, exactly. we gotta inject some of that discourse into here, but this is a show for the people after all. But Adnan, you got any takes on whether you think training camp and the season as a whole is actually going to go off this year?
I think the season will, just because I think it'll at least start, just because the NFL is going to be stubborn about it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of money on the line, to the point where they even said that there was a report today that the NFL thinks that the virus is going to bend to the whim of the NFL, whatever the hell that means.
It's like bend, don't break defense,
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I know the NFL is a super powerful institution, but I don't think the pandemic really cares about whether or not. I don't think the coronavirus is out here like, oh well, the NFL season's starting. Let me settle down until February.
You never know, man. The coronavirus might be like, hey man, I'm ready for some football too. You know what?
Yeah, we're gonna spare football just because. Yeah.
Hey,
we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
Maybe.
I don't think there's going to be a preseason, to be honest. I don't think there will be. I think they'll do a very extended training camp. I think the NFLPA is pushing toward that. So, and I don't think, given the circumstances, that will be the worst thing in the world. The NFL still has their contingency plan to delay the season until mid-October, if need be, and still play the full 16-week schedule. They could possibly delay it. I know at this point, the fact that the NFL is still talking about having fans in the stands and having people sign the COVID waiver,
yep.
that just tells me that they have no plans of the season not happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. I don't think the NFL, regardless of what's happening, will accept canceling the season. No matter what, they're gonna try at least. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, training camp could absolutely get axed. Preseason, I think, is going to be axed. But training camp, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
I think training camp is still going to go. But
probably.
Yeah, preseason, they're probably going to do away with preseason. I think the players probably will want to do away with preseason anyway, because they don't really value it as a whole already. I think I read a report today. It was either the Ravens or the Jaguars. One of them had already placed a cap as far as how many fans they're going to allow into the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Ravens.
Going to be
the Ravens.
14,000. So remember, it wasn't that long ago that the NFL was talking about, hey, you know what, we're going to have fanless games.
Mm-hmm.
So not only are they're driving away from that, and they're already setting a cap as far as how many fans they're going to let in the stadium. So so they're not thinking about canceling the season at all.
No, they're not.
There's no way they will come out with that report if they're thinking about not doing anything for the season.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the Jaguars, in line with Florida's policies, to say that they're not going to have any cap at all, and then still have 10,000 fans show up.
What'll be interesting, I'm not sure about with baseball, but would the NFL be technically the first sport that's not doing the whole bubble situation? I know MLS and
no, it'll be baseball. Baseball is doing it.
Baseball's traveling around still.
Yeah, they're still traveling. Yeah.
Okay. Baseball's going to be in their home stadiums, but you'll only play your division and one division from the other conference.
Yeah.
That's going to be the entire schedule.
It's a reduction in games.
So, but the NFL, ignoring the whole preseason thing, is supposed to be the first one to actually be normal.
I think the only considerable change that they may do, and they talked about it last week, was that they may have teams fly in the day of the game and then fly out after the game, which makes sense. But man, that's going to put a lot of jet lag on these players, man. Yeah. Imagine if you having to fly from New York to LA the day of the game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Owners don't care about that.
Ooh, man.
NFL does not care about the players. Yeah. Owners are going to be in their luxury suites and their luxury mansions, just on some faraway private island.
Yeah. It makes sense from the aspect, you're avoiding certain environments that you may end up picking up coronavirus from. But at the same time, like we just mentioned, dude, if you got a cross country flight, you got a cross country game, that first half is going to be brutal.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly even if they play the season, which they probably will, or they'll at least attempt to, I would be shocked if they didn't even try. Like it's gonna be weird. Like it's gonna be different. It's gonna be a weird year. So
I don't think people realize how much money they can lose if they don't play this season.
Oh, yeah.
So much money.
Yeah.
I
Like,
mean, that's going to have huge salary cap. Like,
Oh, yeah.
too.
You saw how Mark Emmert, the president of NCAA, how he like literally to the very last second was like, okay, we're going to cancel March Madness. Like they tried to exercise every option possible, and that's just March Madness. That's just a tournament. The NFL they can lose billions of dollars by not playing the season. If you guys really think the NFL just going to wake up tomorrow and say, all right, you know what, we're not playing, try again. They'll have these guys out there in armored suits playing football as long as they can get those TV contracts. Like that's a lot of money they're going to end up burning if they don't play.
Yeah. Yep.
They're going to do everything possible, man. Everything.
Oh, yeah.
Hell, they'll play on a damn island. They'll just
Yeah, it'll be like Fight Island with the UFC.
yeah, exactly.
It'll be Football Island.
Yep, they'll play.
Wouldn't this be the year the Falcons win whatever Super Bowl there is, and then it's everybody just
I'm gonna talk my shit. I do not care. I'm gonna talk my shit.
Remember when I said that a couple weeks ago, Evan? Like this seems like the perfect season for the Falcons to win the Super Bowl, and everybody say, "Well, hell, they won it during the coronavirus season."
Yeah.
Like, nobody cares about that.
I don't care.
And then we're gonna be sitting here like, well, damn, we can't even.
Nah, I'm gonna talk my shit.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be relentless.
It's like, why couldn't you fight through the coronavirus like the Falcons? All right.
They can't win the Super Bowl unless the coronavirus is around. Like,
Oh, and you already know Saints fans with their bounty ring will be the loudest among all of them.
But as long as we get that trophy.
Yeah,
that's
I
all.
don't care.
As long as they don't come up with a Corona trophy. And
Trophy
it's like,
first,
well,
questions later. Yeah. So.
oh yeah, they're gonna give us the trophy with a mask on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a revised.
Yes, exactly. The revised one. Oh man.
And imagine everybody on stage masked up after the game.
Right. Well, hopefully by February we have a vaccine. I don't think I can stay in my house that long. So. that's my prayer. So.
If we do have a vaccine, I guarantee the NFL will be one of the first organizations to get it.
Oh yeah, they'll get it before it's even officially announced. So, like, they'll have like the black market
everyone's
version.
fine now. Everyone's okay. There's no
Oh.
COVID cases.
Somehow the NFL has avoided having any COVID cases all season, and
you'll see guys walking into labs and just dressed in all black. They're from the NFL. They come in with just briefcases of money.
Yep.
Want all your vaccine right now.
Your vaccine,
I was
give it
going
to
to
me.
say,
Yeah.
knowing the NFL, they're probably developing one right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like themselves.
they have their
They've
own
invested
lab.
more than the CDC in the vaccine at
And
this
they're only
point.
giving it to the players.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We'll
Yeah,
never
not
hear
even the
about
coaches,
it.
just the players at this point.
Yeah. Somehow, no NFL players have come down with coronavirus. We're not sure
You
why
guys
this has
know
happened.
They played 16 weeks of football and not one player got sick with coronavirus.
I wonder. That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
No, so they're letting full fans into the stadiums, but the players are completely fine.
Yes. That would be pretty typical NFL, but yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to our show this evening. We appreciate you guys for coming out in the depths of the dead zone. Hopefully we'll have some training camp to talk about. I mean, it's theoretically supposed to start, the 28th, so yeah, I mean, that's about 3 weeks or so
We'll
from
see
now.
what happens
So
over the next couple
we'll see.
weeks.
It's possible. We'll obviously keep you updated on that. But until then, we do ask that you, if you don't mind, throwing a like at the show. That helps other folks find us on YouTube. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, yeah, that's a great thing to do. Helps us out as well. Before we get out of here, though, you got something, Eric?
Oh no, I was just saying, please subscribe.
Yes, please. Thank you.
We are begging you. We are once
we
again.
need your internet
Please.
your internet appreciation. Thank you. Yeah, but before we get out of here, I want to thank my co-host this evening. First of all, Evan Birchfield. He's on Twitter at Evan Birchfield. Evan, anything you're working on that you'd like to plug?
Not something coming, but currently that Keenan Forney, I talked to him. It's pretty long though, but if you're a reader, have at it. Basically just talking about his career and stuff, and yeah, wear your mask. That's all I got.
Please.
Please. That's how we get football. If everyone wears
Evan,
masks.
how dare you? How dare you tell me to wear my mask?
And your seatbelts.
I feel
Wear your
threatened,
seatbelts.
Don. I feel threatened. Okay.
Should we do the next show with masks? Just to
We could. I got one downstairs.
Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll get a few dislikes if we do that too.
Dislike. Yep. Can't social
worst show
distance
ever.
over the internet. Yeah.
I'm never watching your channel again.
This is un-American.
Rabble.
Couldn't even hear it. Yeah. Wouldn't that be our luck? We do the whole thing, and it's like, oh, we couldn't hear.
Yeah,
you.
we couldn't hear anything. It's yeah.
Hey, it would send a message.
Yeah, it would. Also with us tonight, Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way on Twitter. Adnan, anything that you'd like to plug today?
Well, I'm counting down the top 5 offensive players for the Falcons in a weekly series, so check that out. And after that gets done, I'm going to be doing that for the defense as well. And I would like to give Kevin a shout out and myself a shout out because we went on Aaron Freeman's show and did their tournament for the Falcons trivia with 16 of people of the big people from Falcons media, and me and Kevin have made it to the finals in that one. So we went over there and we represented the Falcoholic, and we had a Falcoholic takeover, so to speak.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Man, I didn't get an invite.
Yeah, me and Eric were the only ones not invited.
Oh yeah, you probably would have done better than Gina. I think she got 0 right in her
No, she
one
did
attempt.
zero
Yeah.
right.
Well, I've been having a Jeff Fisher-esque trivia season. I've gotten 3 right on every single one, and won every single time. So I'm like the 9-7 Jeff Fisher of Falcons trivia. But
When do you
hey,
guys play each other? Or
Alright,
I
probably-
think sometime next week.
yeah, probably next week. But that'll be the 2016 season, which I actually know about and probably don't have to do that much research on. So maybe I'll get more than 3 right this time. So watch out on.
I've been getting
Please.
4 and 5 right, just getting by the skin of my
Please.
teeth
Yeah.
against these great
I'm going to
competitors.
need you guys to not hit numbers 2, 3, or 8
Yeah.
during the 2016
Okay,
season. Okay?
I'll try. Yeah, I'll try
Please.
my best to get to 4 this time.
Get
Yeah.
4 right. Get 1 right. Something. 7, 9. Just not 2, 3, and 8. For God's sake.
Yeah. Aaron messed me up with like a fullback trick question. I should have known. I should have known that with Aaron it would have been a fullback question.
And also Kevin knocked Dave out in I think the quarterfinals of that, and ever since then the show has lost out on a lot of funding from the Falcoholic board.
Yeah, coincidentally, yeah.
Yeah, coincidentally, we just had our funding cut since
Yeah.
Kevin went out.
I still love you, Dave. It's,
Yeah.
it's not me.
It's
Kevin.
okay. It wasn't personal. Okay.
It's okay, guys. Dave
Yeah.
doesn't watch the show anymore.
Yeah, I know he does. Yeah, it's fine. He'll never know. Unless you guys tell him. Yeah. But also with us tonight, Eric Robinson at _Eric_Robinson. Eric, anything that you'd like to plug this evening?
Yeah, I got the ongoing over-under series on the Falcoholic website right now. So I did an over-under article on offensive overall rankings, how many touchdowns Kevin Ridley will score this year, and how many touchdowns Todd Gurley will score this year. So give that a look. Just go to the Falcon site. We're trying to put out as much as we can. Definitely. Just give it a look. Of course, I mean, there's something of everything there on the site. Also, I was bored today, and I put out top 5 Keanu Neal hits on my Twitter. Retweet, like, whatever. I don't care.
All that good stuff. Yeah. Definitely, guys. And I'm Kevin Knight on Twitter at Falcoholic Kevin. You guys know the show. That's at Falcoholic Live. If you're looking for content, I've been doing a daily series where we take a look at one of the players on the Falcons roster. So theoretically, this could go until like September. So let's pray that the season starts by then, so I don't have to do a profile on literally every single undrafted free agent. But you know, times is tough, so you know that's a potential option. But yeah, we started with the defense, so we're actually up to linebacker now. So today was actually Michael Walker and his profile, and then I did Foye and Dion the past 2 days, and it'll be corner going forward. So
one last thing.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer.
Yes, Matt Ryan is a Hall of Famer.
For sure.
Julio Jones, first ballot Hall of Famer. Argue with your cat. So
Definitely.
this comes from someone who appreciates cats, but you know, argue with it.
Cat lover, Kevin?
I am a cat lover, but I love dogs too.
I'm
I don't.
allergic to cats.
Oh, I'm sorry, Evan.
I know.
I probably gave you a reaction just by saying that.
I see
I know.
Kevin now with just a house full of cats.
Crazy cat man.
They're all named after Falcons players.
Yeah, there's little Julio, and there's Matt Ryan, and
There's D'Angelo.
yeah. Mike, get over here. Yeah, that's a good idea though. If I get like 17 cats, I'll make the whole 2016 Falcons starting lineup. So.
Oh man. I mean, you'll have a massive choking hazard in your home though.
Definitely.
Watch, he'll have 28 cats. Watch.
Yeah, 28 cats and 3 dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 dogs. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
right.
there's little Jalen Collins burning himself again.
Yep. Oh no, poor Jalen Collins. He just can't seem to help himself. Can't get out of his own way. Yeah.
Devontae, how did you miss that?
Oh man, there's Rashid Hagman over there. He's asleep. He hasn't gotten up. And
Oh.
he's just asleep the whole time. It seems like he's been asleep through the whole season.
Why is little Jake Matthews holding everyone?
He just keeps holding that other cat down. I don't know what's wrong.
You don't have to be so aggressive, Keanu. Okay.
Yeah, knock that other cat clean out. All right. Well, yeah. Brooks Reed cat. That would be the cat with like the longest blonde hair or something like that. Just massive hair. So we'll have to incorporate that. I'll keep you guys updated on my search for 22 cats so we can recreate the Falcons roster. But don't expect any updates on that anytime soon. So until then, guys, for all of us, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will talk to you then.